It pulls you in and doesn't let go.
Okay, hello, welcome, Jack Mason.
Hi,
Thanks so much for coming on, man. Perfume Nationalist.
thanks for having me.
So I've been really digging into your stuff the past couple of days. Been listening to a lot of old episodes, been reading a lot of your old reviews. It's great shit, man. I'm really
Thank
a
you.
fan. I think I've become like an actual fan in the past
Which
couple
ones
of
have you
days.
listened to?
So I listened to, since I know him, I listened to the Red Rooms episode with Glenn Rockney. I listened to the Alec episode after the election. I listened to a little bit of the most recent one, or the, like one ago with like there was a bunch of people on it talking about something I've never heard of, which was like the Regeneration series. Thought that was kind
Oh,
of
that's the
cool.
book club. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a bi-monthly book club that meets, and I put out its episodes.
Oh, okay. That's why there was so many people. I was like, who are all these
Yeah.
people? But I think and maybe this will kick us off. I think what's really fascinating to me. So the Perfume Nationalist is a podcast you've been doing for. Is it 5 years?
6 years. It was
Yes,
just
6 years.
the last week was the sixth anniversary of the first episode.
Very cool. And you pair a perfume, a real perfume, with a movie or a work of art, and you kind of talk about all of them. And what I love is, and I don't know if you did this on purpose, but when you describe the perfumes, like for example, in the Red Rooms episode, you do a rouge perfume, which I don't even really know what that means, but you describe the perfume and you describe it in such a evocative, incisive way. This one, it's like kind of a Dr. Peppery type of perfume, which you describe as Lana Del Rey, which is like incredible because it's like, yeah, she is like Dr. Peppery. Also, didn't she have a lyric saying her pussy tasted like cherry cola?
Pepsi Cola.
Pepsi
Yeah.
Cola, yeah.
Yes. That perfume does smell like the Whataburger Dr. Pepper milkshake, which they
Yeah.
have for a limited time.
So anyway, but it's like getting to that weird place where you're talking about Lana Del Rey. It's synesthesia, right? It's like Lana Del Rey is cherry coke, but how could we even describe this? I think that lyric actually comes from Harvey Weinstein. Said that to her
Yes, she
about
doesn't
her pussy.
perform that song live anymore because of the Weinstein lyric, which I never even noticed at the time, but hopefully she'll get over that since she's a Republican. So,
Yeah, let's hope so. Oh, your microphone is like clicking a little bit. Is that?
clicking. Okay.
Uh, that's very
Hold on.
odd.
I haven't had this.
It's like, yeah, little tiny clicks. Maybe that's just like in my headphones. Maybe nobody else is hearing that. Um,
What
okay.
about now? Is it still clicking?
Yeah, it's like slightly clicking. Here, I could. Yeah, it's weird.
Hold on.
It could also just be my headphones. So it might
I
not be.
think it might be because I haven't had this. I've recorded a bunch of stuff recently and haven't had
All
clicking
right.
complaints.
Well, somebody tell us if his microphone is clicking.
I
But
I
yeah.
actually hear the click too. I just heard the click when you were talking.
That's so odd.
Um,
Here, let me try something here.
Is this any different?
yeah, you sound worse, I guess, but I don't
I
hear the
sound
click.
worse, but right. But the
It's gone.
Yeah,
All right, how
I
about
don't hear
now?
the click. That's better.
Okay. You say something? I want to see if the clicking's still there.
Testing. Dr. Pepper
Yeah,
milkshake.
I hear the clicking. So whatever. Fuck it.
Okay, just one sec. Let me let my cat out, and then I'll try something.
Okay, it's okay. Anyway, he's letting his cat out. Oh, I see. He's got all the perfumes are right behind him there. That's cool. That's where the magic happens. Yeah. Yo, what's up?
Did you do something? Uh-oh, you're frozen. Jack is frozen. I'm just gonna keep talking while he's frozen. Oh, he's gone. Maybe he'll come back. Amazing Clash of Worlds, says somebody. Okay, he's back. Hello, Jack. Sorry, everybody. It's all right. This is how it should be. We should be stalling anyway. Everybody's always like, you need to allow more time for people to come in. So that's what we're doing.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, and the clicking is gone, but now I can't see you.
Okay, I just reconnected the
microphone. The clicking is gone.
Okay.
But where did your face go?
I don't know why it disappeared. Hold on.
Yeah, there's a little video thing on the bottom that you could turn on. It's all good.
Yeah, it says it's on. What if I just leave and re-enter? Is that?
You could try it. Yeah, you could try it. It's all good. I still don't see you for some reason. Oh, now I see a J.
That's what happens when I press disable.
What happens if you click that little camera thing at the bottom and it lets you select like a different source?
It just says FaceTime HD camera is selected, and hold on. It says it's selected.
Oh, disappeared. Yeah, sorry. I guess I'll have to cut this, which I hate doing. I hate editing. But we will have to cut this part. But anyway, we're just, so everybody knows who's listening, we're just waiting. We're having some technical difficulties here because I don't really know why. Here he is. There he is. There you go. There you are.
Is that
Perfect.
it? Is there clicking and video? Is
no,
there
yes, video
okay,
and
great.
no clicking, so you're good.
Whew. I actually
No.
normally, I know you don't believe this, normally don't have tech problems like this.
No,
So,
I
of
believe
course
you, dude.
Of course it happens when there's a live stream of people.
Yeah, no, don't worry, man. It's fine. It's actually good because again, like if you really do this correct, you're supposed to have like 10 minutes of just like waiting, because then people file in. Yeah.
I think this is only like the third time I've been on like a live stream thing. It's scary. It feels like a Disneyland ride at the beginning when you play that video.
Yeah. Well, it's
getting locked into the Disneyland.
You're getting stuck. You can't get out. Yeah. But so wait. So what I wanted to ask was anyway. So just to review the podcast, your podcast contains these really great descriptions of perfumes, and you really have it down to a science, and it's kind of transportive. And I was wondering if there's definitely like an anti-Borg, I don't want to say anti-tech because I don't think it's anti-tech, but especially in your Red Rooms episode, it's like, you're sort of disgusted by all the surveillance ways that the internet tracks us and everything. What's interesting is that scent is non-replicable in the digital sphere. So I'm wondering is that part of the reason why you did it? Because almost nobody ever talks about scent
Right.
in our digital sphere. So is that part of it?
Well, if you go back to the beginning of the show in 2019, the culture surrounding scent has changed a lot. Perfume is back since COVID. Perfume is back in a big way, and there have been all these articles, like mainstream media articles, about people like rediscovering scent because they had not thought of their sense of smell or of perfume as an art form before that. But then when COVID came around and one of the symptoms was losing your sense of smell, they started telling you to like retrain your sense of smell. And when I got COVID, I was really worried I would never get my sense of smell back. It was terrible. My favorite things like coffee tasted like burned roaches, and I just couldn't smell any fragrances. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to continue doing this podcast with no sense of smell. It's gonna be even more abstract. But in 2019, it was really a very dominantly anti-scent culture. Like no kind of like upper middle class white person, especially like a normal white guy, would be wearing like cologne to work. Now I see that a lot. And it just never used to happen. The kind of general timeline of scent trends is they were huge in the 80s, mainstream success and popularity for women and men wearing scents in the 80s. They were stronger than they had ever been before. Big blockbuster event scents. Then people kind of got sick of those. Smoking bans started in the 90s. So there was this kind of like back to nature movement where scents became more like inspired by water and light and not dramatic, and they were still very strong at that point. Then the 2000s, this is about when like performative allergies became the trend, as documented in my favorite movie, Todd Haynes' Safe. So with smoking bans came allergies as kind of a status symbol where predominantly upper class women chose to have specific allergies at different times. And it gives you this permanent kind of like nebulous victim status that you can control people with. And then mysteriously with COVID, everyone's allergies disappeared and scent is way more popular again. But yeah, I had always been into fragrance since like my late teens. There was a book called Perfume's the Guide by Luca Turin and Tanya Sanchez, which kind of started off the whole online perfume trend in about 2005. And I got into it that way. And then the podcast, as far as that being pairings of perfumes and media being the subject of the podcast, it's just because that's what I knew and what I like to talk about. And I thought that it was a different kind of spin on the sort of like dry academic topics. And the effect that it had over time, I really appreciate, because I started off in like very like deeply right-wing circles when like there was no crossover to anywhere else. That was when you were like Nazi, Nazi, Nazi for liking a picture of a Pepe.
Right.
And most people who listened did not have a pre-existing interest in perfume, and they would often skip the perfume segments. But then they always invariably get interested in the perfume, and they try something out and start buying stuff, and they just have to experience it. So it's a fun kind of way that it works, where people really don't think they're going to be into the perfume, and then they eventually get into it.
I bought one bottle of cologne in the Netherlands. It was called Strelsen. It was a random thing, and I bought it in 2011 when I lived in the Netherlands, and I used that thing for 12 straight years. I think it never stopped. I think it was like the magical bottle that had no bottom. And yeah, I smelled like that for like 12 years until COVID, and then I stopped doing it. And so it's like, yeah, I got
That's
to get back. I got to get back now.
it takes a really long time to go through a bottle of fragrance.
Yeah, you can do
It's
one forever, right, basically.
people think of it as being very expensive, and with Bidenflation, perfume the last 5 years, perfume has gotten way more expensive along with everything else. But it's one of the more affordable luxuries because
Right.
you spend 100 to 150 bucks and you get something that can take 10 years to go through a bottle. So
That's another way that it's kind of anti-techno feudalist, anti-SaaS program. Like there's no, yeah, you buy one of them. It's like one of the few things you buy one time. You don't need an update on your scent. It's
I
like,
mean, I
yeah,
have a museum full of them, so
yeah,
not everyone, but you could theoretically wear the same thing forever.
yeah.
The problem is when you only wear one thing, like as your signature scent, you lose the ability to smell it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I kind
Yeah.
of mix it up from day to day because if I wear the same thing for even 2 days in a row, I can't smell it anymore. Also, if you're wearing it to the office, you have to play a specific game in order not to start an HR conflict where usually women will start a rumor about the person wearing the loud perfume. But if you mix it up and wear different things every day, they can't always detect who it is.
Yeah, because then they're not going
You
to
know,
nail you. They're not going to
yeah.
nail you for right. It's
Or if
going to
they
be
know
a
you
different
as
thing.
the like crazy perfume hobby person and they kind of understand what you're doing, they're less likely to focus on that as the office drama.
Right. It's great. We need a total. You're so ahead of the curve. We need a total like reappreciation and complete preference of scent as a rebellion against the technical world. It's like they cannot replicate it. It's so deeply ingrained in what it means to be human, and it's like the thing that tech cannot touch. It can't mess with scent at all. It hasn't figured out how to do that in even the slightest way.
I think a lot of the current like blockbuster big budget fragrances are made basically via AI. Like that brand that I was talking about on the Red Rooms episode, the perfumes are good, but they're all kind of like derivative and they seem kind of like robotic, like AI generated based on current trends, and their web presence looks AI generated too. So I think just based on like test focus groups and market trends and everything they do, like robots are making the perfumes.
Wow. Is it true? One thing I wanted to ask: is it true that all great perfumes derive from some disgusting thing? Have you heard that trope before? It's like all the great perfumes. There's some scent in there that's actually like dead cat shit. Is that
That's a
true?
big thing. That talking point got popular because of that movie with Jennifer Lawrence doing the terrible Long Island accent, American Hustle, where she's talking
Oh
about her
yeah.
nail
Oh my
polish.
god.
And it's like
So
taken
bad.
word for word from this woman, Barbara Herman's blog. But it's about like that talking point is kind of a way to introduce people to the concept of animalics. So like older perfumes would have animal ingredients. None of them have real animal ingredients now, unless you're like going to the Middle East. But civet, castoreum, musk,
Yeah, Castorium,
um,
right?
and
Yeah.
they would add this shit or piss smell, like some kind of rot smell that you don't detect in the overall composition if it's successful. But a lot of niche perfumes of the last 10 years are deliberately like confrontational with the animalics just because it's so antithetical to the like 90s clean prom cologne thing that most of us grew up with. But like all the classics, I wouldn't say they have something repulsive in them, but I mean they just smell pretty to me. But all the most interesting perfumes to me that like keep my interest and I think of as great works of art, they do have something kind of off-putting or some kind of clash to them. Like Terry Mugler Angel has an opening that smells strongly of like rotten fruit and BO,
Wow.
and it's marketed as smelling like chocolate and treats, but that's kind of the thing that the shock value that keeps people coming back. Clinique Aromatics Elixir, another one, has this strong, memorable opening that's like herbal vinegar. That's just a lot more interesting to the advanced palate than something linear, something blunt. There are a lot of really blunt, linear, boring perfumes that smell the same from start to finish today.
Yeah, it's that sort of familiar but unexpected. You have to have some element of truly unexpected in there. I mean, I run a branding agency, branding and advertising, and so I write taglines all day. And I always say to my clients that every great tagline in history has some element of darkness in it. It's coming from somewhere creepy and scary, and that's why it works, because you need to have that edge in order for it not to just be like saccharine
Yeah,
bullshit.
absolutely. For something to be memorable, anything, there has to be some kind of clash present, or something new, novel, and disturbing about it. Um, but the animalic stuff is a really popular talking point today. That at this point is kind of corny and exaggerated, because like
Yeah.
have been so many articles
About
since
that.
Chandler Burr, writing in the New York Times in like 2009, would always do these effusive poetic gay guy articles about how everything smelled like shit and BO, and it really doesn't. I mean, it's deceptive to describe like Shalimar and all these things as smelling so much like shit, but it's gives this pornographic interest to whatever you're doing. And sex sells, obviously, but advertisements today, since they're woke, don't rely on sex to sell things, and that's why they're ineffective. But saying that a niche perfume smells like sex, that has this like acceptable intellectual quality where it's pretending not to be appealing to people's prurient interests. So it's another way of doing sex sells.
Well, I think they're still trying to do the ugliness thing. They're just doing,
Yeah.
instead of transmuting ugliness into beauty, which is what probably a good scent does, or like colostrum, right? Isn't colostrum, not colostrum? What's the thing you just said that it's beaver, like
Oh, Castorium
castorium? Yeah, and that's in fake vanilla. Like the fake
and
vanilla
raspberry
comes from,
flavors.
yeah. And those take this horrible, disgusting beaver, whatever, like anus or something, and they turn it into something beautiful. That's what the darkness should be. It should be the act, the godly act is to turn it from darkness into light. Whereas I think what the current regime does is it turns light into darkness. It's like glorifying ugliness. It's like, look at this legless, like person, and yeah, it's trying to just put ugliness everywhere without doing the work to like turn it into something beautiful. Like Just Do It. Just Do It was that the whole story. Have you heard the story of how Just Do It came to be?
No.
Just Do It was the final words of Gary Gilmore, the serial killer.
What?
He was like, just do it. And, they had nothing. Wyden and Kennedy had nothing going into the meeting, and they read it, and they were like, let's just pitch it. And, of course, it became the great line of Nike from all time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an interesting little tidbit. But, okay, so let's talk about your so you have this fantastic podcast. Everybody should listen to it. It actually is really good. And deep cultural analysis. But one of the things that you've been doing more recently is these movie reviews on Twitter. That's where I really started paying attention. I kind of wanted to just straight up read this one you did for Nosferatu. I don't know how you feel about that.
Please.
I just want to read it because it's like the problem with these, Jack, is that I can't ever find them. It's like I'm always like, where is
I'm
Jack's
permanently
great
shadow
review?
banned. I don't know. Like there's some, I mean, I subscribe, but I'm permanently shadow banned to some degree. But if you look I post the posters. So if you look at my media tab, the poster will be there in the review.
So that's how to do it. All right. So everybody
Yeah.
go to Jack's media tab to find the reviews because they're really good. They're short, but they're so much worth, everything else. I'm just going to read this Nosferatu review. I think this is Nosferatu, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's exactly what you think it's going to be. Not that there's anything wrong with that, in all caps, except there is. There's something wrong with that. It's not exciting and feels like it's been sitting around collecting dust for a while. The trailer played relentlessly before everything this year, and everyone else thought, why does this look just like Dracula? Guess 30 years is long enough they can do Muppet Baby Dracula for Zoomers. And that is exactly what Nosferatu is. Nosferatu is Muppet Baby Dracula for Zoomers. And it is a replica of Coppola Dracula. And you completely nail this. And I accidentally watched them back to back. It is completely a replica.
With a gray filter over it. It's
Wait,
with a
you
gray
get
filter.
to that with blue.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. The changes made to make it not Dracula are so mild and arbitrary, it almost highlights the plagiarism more. Calling it Nosferatu instead of Dracula, the names being slightly different, the color palette is blue instead of colors. Instead of wig, the vampire is bald. Also, it's like, what's his name? It's like, it's not Van Helsing, it's Van something else. It's like, like all their names are slightly different. And instead of containing all the Dracula scenes, it contains merely 85% of them. Dracula's orgy daughters, too much for the intimacy czars, I guess. You can't understand what any of them are saying due to everyone choosing an accent or a lisp as is their thing, or maybe to disguise how phoned in the screenplay is. Since it's Eggers, it's vaguely culturally conservative in a way that those in the know will spot little things, that everyone's white, blue, because it's got this ridiculous blue filter on everything. Evil is real and can't be solved by science. Negative evocations of psychiatry and treating depressed women with drugs, and the vampire talks in a BAP voice and says the line which you will recognize, which is, you will submit. It's the third Dime Square movie this year with filmy nightgowns, Catholicism, orthodoxy, Pinterest board, cross necklaces. Everything looks like a painting, long wig parted in the middle and no eyeliner. However, it's just gross because the signature gesture of the movie is gooning. So everyone is doing a kind of baby brain medicalized gooning that fits that Zoomers love from TikTok and phone screens, crossing their eyes and shaking and drooling out that performative jelly-like blowjob spittle that was invented for porn in the 2010s. Doesn't work for me. The two articles I saw about it days ago were Lily Rose Depp was influenced by Possession, which is like, where did they re-dig up Possession? Why would they, for a year, everybody was just like Possession. Where did that come from?
10 years.
Yeah. Second movie this year with that in it. And then something about yet another prosthetic penis. So they really had to drag my ass to this. Defoe goes through National Treasure motions. I'm tired. Best movie review I've read, maybe ever. And I was a New Yorker movie guy for a long time. So I know what I'm talking about. So, all right, well, let's talk about Nosferatu. So, what is it about Eggers that's so sort of unsatisfying?
His screenplays are always very Wikipedia, like what I call Wikipedia screenwriting, which is like, I got interested in this handful of things on Wikipedia, but they don't have passion to them. Like, they don't have anything particularly funny or offensive, or they're all vaguely culturally conservative. This one, the Northman was really obvious with its, I just discovered like Step Warriors on Twitter. Like that's all there. But The Lighthouse didn't do it for me. He's very 2010s A24. Like, it's a style of filmmaking that's very dated to me already, dated to the last decade, because this was the dominant genre of movies of the last decade, was like slow Kubrickian art horror things that don't really have any genuine sexual drive to them, but sort of have a marketing gauze of being sexy. Something with Eggers is just missing to me, and I haven't seen many interviews with him, but he sounds pretty annoying in interviews. Like, he sounds in the realm of the dreaded Brady Corbet, who made the worst movie of the year, the Brutalist.
The Brutalist. It's like the Shabbos Goy film of the year, right? He's just
Yeah.
like he's very. It's like, isn't it all like super like Jewish worship from what I've heard?
What's more offensive to me is that it's the second movie of the year that wears Ayn Rand as a skin suit, because
Right.
Ayn Rand is so forbidden, but these kind of arty people, movie people, had detect that there's some power there, and everybody likes the Fountainhead to some degree. So
Right.
Megalopolis was a Fountainhead, a libtarded Fountainhead thing, and then The
Right.
Brutalist was a libtarded Fountainhead thing, where it's like, I just discovered the Fountainhead, but guess what? I'm going to subvert everything about it. So instead
Yeah.
of the famous controversial rape scene in the Fountainhead, he has it be like a male rape scene, which is like safe edgy this year. Like that's very N, is having male rape scenes, because nobody gets offended, but you can get salacious headlines about it.
Yeah. It's so right. Subverted. Everything is subverted. Fountainhead. I think that's dead on. It was he the kid from Spy Kids? Brady Corbet.
He was in Greg Araki's one good movie, Mysterious Skin, and he was in the Funny Games remake. And
But he
Vox
was a
Lux,
kid
everyone
actor,
gave
wasn't he?
too much credit. What? He was, yeah, I
He-
think he was a child actor.
Yeah. I think he might have been the kid, one of the kids in Spy Kids.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just read this somewhere. I don't know if that's actually what he
That's
was,
probably
but,
true.
yeah. I just don't know which. I've never seen Spy Kids either, so I don't know. Maybe they're trying to like hide this or something. But man, no, maybe he wasn't in Spy Kids. Maybe he was like casted in then left or something. I don't know.
No, Nosferatu,
Yeah.
though, I had to see that trailer for months before, and like I just can't believe that something would so directly plagiarize Dracula in this
It was amazing.
corny, like off-brand Ricky Mouse store, like kind of way, where they just alter the names a little, remove
Yeah.
a few scenes, but basically have all of it there. And
Even the three dogs. Remember the three dogs?
Yeah.
They have the three dogs. It's a complete ripoff. I watched them side by side, like sort of by accident, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, why is this even allowed? It's the exact same movie. It's like it really, yeah. It's like if you ever
but
make the
without
mistake of what.
without anything funny, like I don't,
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't spark any joy for me to see Willem Dafoe come in and be like a goblin national treasure, like in that way that he's just overexposed in the moment. He does the same thing and everything. I'm not happy about it. But Nosferatu, it feels dusty, like it was sitting around, because it feels like something that should have been put out about 2 years ago. Like it feels, all of the gauzy Catholic nightgowns and like Dasha crosses and everything, that feels like something from 2 years ago. But it takes so long to make movies that by the time they get out, their cultural
It's
references
dated.
seem very kind of dated.
Right. Do you really think it was BAP? Do you think
Yeah,
that was
I
a
think
real
that was
reference?
completely intentional. Well, that's a huge thing. I mean, there were no less than 5 or 6 Dime Square movies last year. There was Immaculate. There was The First Omen. There was The Beast, which Dasha was in. There was Anora. There was Nosferatu. The BAP stuff is totally intentional. I mean, The Northman was all BAP type imagery and everything.
Sure.
That, and everyone
Yeah.
in it was white. Like that was very
Yeah.
obvious. So these filmmakers, they all listen to Red Scare. Everyone in Hollywood listens to Red Scare. That's
Yeah.
like, proven. And but since all of our stuff is from like the bad side of the internet, the bad right-wing side, no one can believe that they're drawing influence from it, like as if everybody isn't on the same Twitter, everybody isn't on the same listening to podcasts. Like Mike White generously like said that he listened to Red Scare with White
He
Lotus.
did say it. Okay, well,
You know,
good
he
for him.
said it, but they all you see it there, and you know, it's kind of plausible deniability where they can pretend to never have heard of that, but it's there in a winky way that I find kind of cowardly at this point.
Yeah, it is cowardly. What do you? Are you a Mike White fan? Are you a White Lotus fan?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge. He's been on my show twice.
Really?
Yes, it's coming back. Yeah, he
Oh,
has to come on. When the
he's great.
second season was coming out.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah,
I'm a
Mike White is
massive.
awesome. I've been a Mike White fan for 20 years.
He somehow gets the license that these other people don't get. He doesn't. He somehow can be genuinely subversive, genuinely fantastic at writing. I don't know how he did it. Maybe he gets gay privilege, but
He
like, how does
there's
he do it?
there's gay privilege. First of all, you can kind of use gay content as a deflection when you're doing
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
politically subversive
Yeah.
things, because when a kind of out of the loop person sees something like White Lotus 2 filled with gay sex, they're like, oh, this is more Holly weird gay conditioning. But it's a whole show full of just white cast, and
Well,
you
and
know,
it's a commentary on it. I mean, like it's all about that. It's about like it's
yeah,
like gay people are like the bad guys in that. It's like it's kind of a condemnation of it, in a way.
yeah, they're bad gay guys, which that, you know, ever since trans took over as the dominant issue, there are a lot of libtarded movies with bad gay guys. I mean, going back to Orange is the New Black, there was one of the first like Netflix shows that had like an evil, like right-wing gay guy on it, way back. But Mike White also has just like been in the industry so long and like knows everyone and is liked by everyone. And he's just like cool and genuine. You know, he's been on Survivor. He got to the end of Survivor, one of the last great seasons. And he also does things with a sense of humor. Like, have you ever seen Enlightened with Laura Dern, his previous show?
No, I never did see it.
Well,
I
you
never
should
saw it.
watch it. It's from 2011, and it's all making fun of liberal environmentalist women, but in such a way that one could watch it and not know exactly that it's cruelly satirizing them, but it is. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, he somehow navigates it. I mean, it does help to be a hack for a long time. Like the whole the great Hollywood, the great TV era of all those guys. They were all hacks. David
yeah.
Chase was a hack for 40 years or something. Those guys all. So like, yeah, if you pay your dues, I think maybe you get a little more license to be outside of the box. But I mean, I tend to agree with you that it's all been destroyed by HR. I mean, that's really it's all HR women who have taken over and just completely destroyed any ability for anybody. I mean, Mike White barely sneaks in, right? Whereas everybody else has to be like a yes man, like Eggers. They're like, I'm an edgy auteur, except I somehow managed to not actually ever say anything offensive at all in any way. It's yeah.
I do not like the Eggers style, neither here nor there interview. Like, I understand they have to do, the publicity circuit, but he's not good at interviews. I mean, you don't have to be that much of a coward in interviews and just like lie. People can tell when you're lying. People can tell when you're lying. Like love him, but the Damien Leone inexplicable Facebook response.
Yeah.
Where he claimed that, nothing I do has any politics whatsoever, which, that's a lie. That's just straight up a lie to say that everything that you do, especially when it's so specifically out there and inflammatory as the Terrifier movies, to just say, oh, it's meaningless. It has nothing to do with politics. Nothing. Everybody can tell that's a lie. And liberals, come at you with the like, actually all art is political. I mean, it is kind of, we all like the idea of something that's nicely apolitical, but loading something like Terrifier 3 with that much Christian imagery is not accidental. You know?
Yeah, you in your review called it like the most Christian movie since Passion of the Christ, which
And
I
he
showed that
confirmed
to
that.
my. He did that way, so he did confirm that. So what do you mean?
He
What did
confirmed
you
it
say?
because there was an article in some totally made up outer space publication that completely plagiarized my review that published the next day.
Oh yeah.
But took out like anything offensive, I would say, and just made it in like boring listicle, clickbait kind of
Yeah.
format. Like, this is influenced by Passion of the Christ and The Exorcist. Other, just made it boring. And so he retweeted that and said, "Wow, I really like this." And he confirmed it.
Oh, he did. Okay, so wow, so he did admit it. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. So let's talk about Terrifier. The Terrifier series is this kind of definitely, body horror. People love saying the word body horror these days. It's a body horror about just a killer clown. How many zillions of killer clowns have we had? How many zillions of body horrors? But somehow it ends up being fantastic. And there's scenes in it. That scene in the bar. There's a scene in the bar where he goes in and he's a killer, but he's kind of a killer flipped on its head because he acts like sort of a child, and he confronts people in this way that's kind of like it's a little bit like the Mexican mafia does this thing where they like fuck with you in this kind of childlike way before they kill
Oh.
you. Yeah, that was in Training Day.
Mexicans
Remember he
do be
goes,
doing. I know exactly.
Yeah.
In ninth grade,
Yeah.
they do that.
yeah, they kind of like push you and like they're like your buddy, but they're also not your buddy.
They're
And
like,
then
"Hey,
like,
buddy,
yeah,
I like your shoes. I like your shoes, buddy." Like that kind of.
yeah, like, oh, nice shoes. And like in Training Day when he goes, "You ever got your shit pushed in, man?" Like that was a very accurate scene. So he's kind of like that. Like he kind of like confronts people, and he sits in the Santa's lap, and then he pisses in the Santa's lap, which is like, imagine a killer, you'd like Michael Myers doing that, like. So there's a real genius to it. Yeah, so like, why are these movies so good? It's really weird because there's nothing really original about them besides, I mean, there's nothing like in a broad stroke way original.
Yeah, because horror is the dominant genre of the neoliberal 2010s. Everything is horror. Everybody's a horror fan to a degree they never were before. And the fan base for the Terrifier movies is the same queers and neckbeards that are at every horror convention. But watching the progression of the sequels and how it goes in totally different directions and creates movies that are really epic in a way that slashers have never been. The first one was basically a special effects display, project. And there's not much to the first one. It's good, but it I guess what distinguishes that is it seems uniquely misogynist and has the forbidden female nudity in it. But then the second one came out and it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes long and clearly NC-17. I mean, the violence goes beyond today's stuff, which is really saying something. So it just has that extra level of cool mushing in a desiccated face with your thumbs kind of violence. But
And
it's
practical
NC-17
effects
and
too. So
yeah,
it's like
great.
it's very practical effects, which is nice. It's extremely refreshing.
Yes, and the second one played at multiplexes. So the whole, if you're a movie person that's been alive for a certain amount of time, the whole NC-17 conversation where every movie used to have to be edited to get rented at Blockbuster, get an R rating to play at multiplexes. It turns out that rule is just completely fake and they can just decide not to do it because Terrifier 2 and 3 are unrated. And the big achievement with 3 was that it was, I think for the first time ever, the top box office, like number 1 at the box office. And it was an unrated movie, NC-17 movie that played everywhere. But the second one I felt was uniquely focused on hatred of women in a fun way and had a
You and I
charming,
will agree with that. Yes.
a charming, sexy, conventionally feminine protagonist. Most like of the horror movies today have like a kind of gender goblin, off-putting,
Yeah.
desexualized girl who knows everything. But I think it's because Damien Leone is from Staten Island. The girls in his movies have this like real hot topic, like
Yeah,
sexy
dude.
naked fairy tattoo quality
So true.
that's really
So
great.
true.
Um,
Yeah.
and then
No, it's really
and
true.
then the third one becomes completely religious. It like the whole battle against Art the Clown is revealed as this like crypto Christian, like basically accepting Christ into your heart, and it's symbolized with a sword. And there's constant Christian imagery. And then the fourth one is she's going down into hell to save that girl, I guess.
Oh, is that what's happening in the fourth one?
The,
Because yeah, they got to go down because she goes into the thing. That spoiler alert. She goes down into the ground in the end. So yeah, she's got to go down there and get her.
Third one is like Passion of the Christ inspired. That like clearly like
Yeah.
the Cat o' Nine Tails. It's the most clearly Passion of the Christ inspired movie since that movie came out.
Yeah, there is something Christian about it, and there's something in the end. They're torturing her, and they're kind of saying God isn't real. Like I think they literally even say that, and that was kind of the tip that yeah, there's something going on here. Did he have to apologize because his actors were based? Is
No,
that
what
why,
it
or
was.
like
See, this is why it was an ineffective apology because you couldn't even tell what was going
what
on.
he
He was
was
actually
right?
defending Republicans in a really. He was basically asserting the right of people involved in his movies to have different politics, which means you can be Republican. But he said it in this roundabout way. But it was in response to the Art the Clown actor who was a lib posting something that was like,
Oh,
if you
I see.
support Trump, if you don't support LGBT people, don't ever watch my movies or something like that.
Says
But
Art
it
the
just
Clown.
yes, Art the Clown said that, and it's ridiculous
Shock.
because Damien Leone has like never inserted himself into into anything ever. He did it at the worst possible, most unnecessary time. So now
Yeah.
accomplished nothing, and also libs are going to hate him forever just because of that little thing. Um, but happens to all of us. Uh,
Yeah.
the Art the Clown stands for so many different things, though. To me, a lot of it is he is a stand-in for the homeless, the escalating homeless problem of the 2010s, because he's always like carrying a big, gross bag
Oh
with him. He's
yeah.
always pictured on like public transportation, buses and
Yeah. Oh,
subways,
good
and people
call.
just kind of act like it's normal.
Great call. Yeah.
Um, he's the homeless. He's also often like gender goblin, especially in the first one where he's like naked and like wearing a woman's like skin as a suit. Um, but the third one, everyone that he punishes is like modern, like scientific, like psychiatric liberal people who don't think that evil can exist. And so the main chick's like family, the extended family she's living with, they all just think she's crazy. And this kind of didn't happen to her, and they worry about her influence. But then the most amazing scene of the third one to me is the um mall
Yeah.
slaughter
Oh,
of
another
the
great
Christmas
one.
mall slaughter of
Yeah.
children, which what is
Yeah.
that about? Muslims, obviously. So
Oh God.
it's
And
not
it's
funny.
right.
Like that scene isn't it's you can't laugh at that. Even like the most hardened neckbeard has to try to laugh at the idea of a bunch of children seeing Santa Claus getting bombed.
Well, but
You know,
it is. I mean, I laughed at it because it's
I mean, it's
so
funny.
perfect. It's so.
It's funny, but
it's-
like it crosses
like-
a line where liberal horror movies all constantly assert how like this is fun, we're all in the same boat. This isn't intended to be that scary. But with the third one, constantly showing children getting killed in that way makes it cross a line where if you're a sane person, you can't so much identify with this clown in a neckbeard way.
Yeah, it kind of like knows the line. It knows the line and it plays with the line and it goes over it. It's like, oh, you don't think we could blow up, jihad children Santa Claus? Like we're gonna do it. And you kind of like laugh every time. I found myself just being like, whoo, like laughing to myself, which was kind of cool. Like it was like, it's like,
Well, I mean, the whole the thing in the second movie where Art has the little girl, he's naked in that laundromat, and then the
Oh
little
yeah.
girl clown comes up and
Yeah.
they're like shitting diarrhea together.
Yeah.
Like the vibes are very clearly intended to evoke, you know, a certain thing, and it crosses the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think it is that there's never any raping in these movies? Yeah, that was one thing that really struck me about Northman. It's like actually the entire point of a rating society is basically rape. That's like the point. Like that's really the fundamental like nature of it. Yet he
Because you
can
just
chop
it's
off.
you just
You can.
can't show
Yeah.
rape now. That's one of the things that has the like N-word hard R
Yeah. It's got
superstition about it
right.
today.
So it's like
They
yeah.
wouldn't
Why is
get the
that?
movie greenlit with like a graphic, the kind of rape scene that's in like The Sopranos or whatever. Like everybody's seen that, but you'll see this stuff on Reddit from like liberals, Chapo liberals, that are like, I'm just telling you, if you're watching The Sopranos, you're allowed to skip the Melfi rape scene. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
that. What is that to cross a line that, you know,
Yeah.
everything else in the show does not? But there's this current superstition about showing sexual violence where people magically think that it reaches out from the screen to re-traumatize the audience, and that's like a feminist like Jezebel thing that started in like 2009 and then became very mainstream.
It's such a symbol of society that we can blow up a room full of children and graphic detail, but the slightest rape, if he went into the slightest rape, that would be somehow absolutely
And of course, you can do
beyond the
any
pale.
amount of violence you want to men. You can do,
Yeah,
have
oh
your
yeah.
Saving Private Ryan
Yeah.
scenes of men getting blown up. No one cares about that. But if you have a remotely sexualized scene of violence against a woman, it's everyone who made this movie is a rapist. You're raping the
Yeah.
audience. You're raping all of us.
You're
I mean, it's
raping the audience.
connected to the current prohibition against sexualized female nudity, which I'm sorry that like skinny androgynous bitch in Nosferatu does not count. Like she's like New York like model alien model chick like Lily Rose Depp. That doesn't count as that's like art nudity. That's not
Yeah.
like that's not like the Sydney Sweeney breasts. Um
Yeah.
but it's connected to that. People are very attuned to this dated academic feminist kind of way of reading movies, which is like women should not be dissected into parts on screen.
Right.
You know, all that kind of like, did you ever take any like college classes where they taught you that like advertisements were like pornography and like rape imagery and all this? It's old,
Yeah, sure.
dusty, old stuff that's really dated, but it's just
Yeah.
been mainstreamed in the 2010s.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I mean, I think that that's exactly what's happening. Is that it's like going into those images is, that's across the line in some way. I found it also interesting. I'm super into Hunter Biden's book and like the whole Hunter Biden thing. I have the whole compendium of all of his sins here, and in his book, he goes into vivid detail about his horrible addiction actions. You know, he has a whole thing where he says, I could find crack in any city in America in 30 minutes. He lives with a homeless person. He's completely depraved. He's drinking a bottle of whiskey before he meets like the Shah of Iran and shit, or, obviously not the Shah of Iran, whoever. And he does not say one thing about the thousands of prostitutes that he ordered to his house. And it's like you can see it. It's like no limit of addiction is wrong. But if he admitted ordering one prostitute, that would somehow, in the mind of the people who decide what he's allowed to say, be like, oh no. Like that. You can't order a prostitute. That would be horrible.
Everything is censored in that exact way now. It's so corny and so deceitful. It's all about how currently in the how long is it, 8 years of Me Too, in the current cultural landscape, male sexuality is all wrong. It's
all wrong. Yes,
there is no way for male sexuality to be okay. So everything that feminists used to say about female sexuality being prohibited and being witchcraft and all this stuff, all of that's true, but for men. So there's
Right,
no
exactly.
proper way for men to have any kind of natural sexuality whatsoever. And especially if you're talking about like memoirs where they're describing their path to power or anything a man can do in order to be more attractive to women and to gain access to a higher category of women, that's all forbidden because you're supposed to pretend that you want to make millions of dollars and like make something of your life, but it has nothing to do with like getting girls, you know,
Yeah,
which
even
is
though that's what
absurd.
it's
This is
all
why
about.
civilization
Yeah,
is not functioning now, because that's like the basis of it.
it's true.
And
Eh,
everybody
yeah.
has to pretend that they're, including all straight men, all best little husbands who ever lived, they all pretend, oh, I'm not doing anything to get girls. So I just watched I'm doing an upcoming episode about Motley Crue, but there was inexplicably a Netflix adaptation of their 2001 memoir in 2019. So after Me Too, and it's pretty bad, but it's not as bad as you'd think. But what's missing from it? Okay, any mistreatment of girls, any prostitutes, any strippers. I mean, they kind of show like it has more than
Yeah.
most movies, but like compared to what is described in the book where it's like, you know, Tommy Lee getting like a girl to like blow like a circle of 20 guys in a hot tub, it just
Yeah.
all that's gone, you know, as if
Yeah.
it never happened. And
Which
it's
was
like,
the
why did
point.
they make this?
Yeah,
That's the point.
that's the point.
And the girls
Yeah,
enjoyed
no,
it too. That was like
right.
rock. They have to like erase the whole history of like what
Yeah,
rock music was. It's
yeah,
not like the girls like ended up there, were trafficked there. They went there voluntarily.
yeah.
But now you have to pretend women have no agency. Women are not
Yes.
adults. They're eternal children. So
Right.
they're manipulated into every situation. It's absurd.
Well, and it drives men insane. I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to know why people are trans, it's because they go insane. When you can't hook up with girls, you go crazy, and that
Yeah.
is what has happened to straight men. They lose their fucking minds, and you see it everywhere. You know, you see people, and this is what, you know, the ones who barely survive jerk off twice a day. You know, those are the ones that are like barely clinging on to what you're supposed to do. That's why you see these weird things about what's her name's husband, the woman who was the first cadet at the Citadel or whatever. Her husband, her ex-fiance, just got in trouble for like having like 65,000 child porn images on his phone, and it was like, that's what fucking happens. Like if if a
It
man
gets
can't like,
rerouted.
yeah, like dude, if a man can't get drunk and go fuck a whore somewhere or just have a mistress, they go fucking crazy. Like they will literally go insane. So it's like they got to bring this shit back somehow, man. And, you know, they gotta let men like get off because they're fucking, you know, it's destroying society.
Well, the whole trans ideology of the 2010s, uh, not the rarer gay ones who are basically drag queens, but the
Right.
autobionophiles, the straight ones.
Yeah, they
It's
don't got past
completely
it.
a response of nerdy heterosexual men um, having no outlet for their sexuality, having no access to girls, being conditioned at the highest levels of media and politics that they committed an original sin by being male. All they have to do is sign this contract with Satan and say that they're a girl, and immediately they get more attention and approval from society and from women, at least temporarily, than they've ever gotten before. And they get job offers. You know, I saw it all happen. Like, I worked with so many like nerdy guys who dyed their hair pink once and then changed their name to Rebecca, and then they get job offers. They get, you know, I think that that has peaked. I think it's going away.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the trend is on the decline, fortunately, but that's what it was. But what it presented as was um, this facet of gay rights, you know, that like you have this innate identity, which you were born in the wrong body, that you just discovered, and that's completely a lie. It's just this whole like system of other things, system of gaining attention from women based on this technicality, system of like finances, of not having to work. um yeah, that's what happened. Male sexuality comes out somewhere, It comes out in
Exactly.
monstrous ways when it's not
Yeah.
allowed to be channeled into productive things.
Right.
And
Especially when you're sitting in front of the computer all day, which all these people are. So then, yeah.
this reminds me, you know what TV show was really ahead of the game in the politically correct way that it showed like depravity was Breaking Bad, where they're selling meth. They're selling meth. Do they ever get girls? Ever? No. What do they do when they're spun out on the best meth ever made? They play video games.
Yeah,
together.
it's right. And yeah, and it's so funny because is it not? It's not. What's his name? Terrence Winter? No. Who's the guy who made Breaking
Terrence
Bad?
Malick?
No.
No.
Who's the?
I don't
What is
the
his
guy's name. I don't know the creator's name.
Creator. I can't. Vince Gilligan. So Vince Gilligan, he did such a good point you just made because he was the end of the road of all those psychopathic showrunners, including David Milch, who, speaking of getting girls, you know what he used to do? He used to get all the hot girls on the production to come into a dark room with him and watch him edit his like underling stuff live on a projector. This was like a big thing in Hollywood, and everybody would
Wait,
like,
which one is
about
David
it.
Milch again?
Milch made NYPD Blue, and then later
Okay.
Deadwood.
Yeah,
He did
yeah.
Deadwood. Yeah, so he was kind of in that vein. And, Chase was this complete lunatic. And then Vince Gilligan is regarded as like the last one in that line. And he was regarded as like the politically correct one of that group. And it's so funny that you're right. We all know. What does meth make you? Horny as fuck.
Yeah.
Those guys would have been fucking every girl in, a 15-mile radius. And it's like, no, they're playing video games,
Yeah, they're
because
playing
that's what
video
they have to
games,
do.
and Walter White and Mike
Yeah.
are like having this like showgirls battle over Jesse's attention. Like,
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
it's so weird that they, but he's eternally loyal to Skylar and would never do anything.
Oh, yeah, because that would really make me bad.
That
Like
would
I could
really,
murder
you know,
whoever.
Killing people and Nazis in prison. That's but
Yeah.
cheating on Skylar would lose
Yeah.
the sympathies of the audience.
Totally, and that's why we love Don and Tony Soprano, because they're obviously not bound by that. Okay, let's talk in the last 30 minutes here. Let's talk about Red Room. Speaking of horror, kind of the reverse of Terrifier, in that nobody dies in it at all, and you don't even see any violence whatsoever. I saw this on a plane. I watch all horror movies because I'm a Shudder subscriber, and so I'm a big horror guy. I'm also a big true crime guy, which I know it's like both of these things are very female. I think what I love about horror movies, though, is like I like the beginning of them. I like seeing the world as it is. That's also what I like about true crime. I actually don't like the killing. I like the part before everything goes to shit, because I like seeing like what a normal life is like, and I think they do a good job of that in all true crime and horror. The exception is Terrifier, where I liked the kills. The kills were fun to watch. Red Rooms is a complete exception to any of this because it's about a very bizarre person. But you said that this was your favorite movie in 10 years. So why did you love Red Rooms so much?
I loved Red Room so much because I was totally involved in it. Number one, it's like an hour and 40 minutes long, which that needs to be the future movie. They need to. There's been this long period of excessive run times being an indicator of prestige. So movies are all 3.5 hours long now. They need to learn to do an 80 through 100-minute movie again, and I think they are. But I was involved in the plot of it in a way I hadn't been in a movie in so long. Like, I watch tons of movies, but I'm always kind of like out here watching it with this kind of like intellectual surveillance, but Red Rooms, I was completely inside the movie. It's effective and well made, like as if it's a movie from the 70s. But it's the revolutionary thing about it is that it deals with the present day. Honestly, it deals with people's connection to the internet, specifically women's use of the internet. Whereas most movies and TV shows exist in this kind of nostalgia netherworld where people aren't really on the internet. They can all smoke inside. It just like things don't look like they do today. And Red Rooms is all about what people actually do on their phones, on their computers, and it's about women's relationship to true crime and to violence, and how they don't have to pay the same consequences for doing perverse things that men have to do. Men exist in basically a separate world of legal punishment that women can float in and out of like a fairy and do really perverse things, and just say it was due to my mood, it was due to my mental illness, it was due to abuse, whatever. And it's really subtle. It's not didactic at all in what it's doing. The idea that anybody could ever sympathize with the main character and like think that she's like normal or heroic in any way did not occur to me until we were recording that episode. But apparently there's a lib take which is really chilling, where they think that the main character of that, who is watching like child snuff films and paying tons of money for them, that she was like, just like her mental illness caused her to do it, but she was heroic in the end.
Yeah.
If you watch this movie and think that, you're insane. It's all about how she's partaking in something really, really evil, and they make it something that so over the line that you can't argue about it. And then her way of being heroic is like putting a flash drive of this child death on the mother's, doing a Manson style creepy crawl and putting the flash drive on the mother's bed. Like, are you kidding me? But it's incredible performances, really simple, really well shot. No one famous distracting you with their celebrity in it, so that helps with immersion. And just the way that it deploys. It's nice also that it's a young filmmaker, not just a movie made by an old head who's 78 years old, so gives me hope for the future.
I think that it's a character study of a woman in today's world, and a realistic view of like how her gaze entangles with the internet, that you just don't see that truthfully told ever. And the whole thing is that she's getting off on this. In the end, I do think that the last moments, they do kind of try to let her off the hook a little bit, but it's very obvious that she wants to be there, right? She's getting off on the hideousness of this, but I think they give it a silver lining at the end where it's like, well, but she also helped to convict him, it's kind of silly. But I don't think that's like the purpose of it. I think the real purpose of the movie is a vehicle to explore this, you call her a Dasha, it girl type model character. I see her as this internet woman. Like you run into these people in Silicon Valley all the time. I know like 3 versions of this girl. I see them around, and they become almost more addicted to the screen than men do. And it gets all kind of entangled in their desire, and they become very masculinized because of it, or they're just masculine sort of to begin with.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, there's like, she's definitely transcoded in certain ways. Like, I don't think that's the message of the movie, but she could be like, she has aspects of current trans people, like the deftly wielding the Bitcoin everything. The way that she navigates the internet very effectively is very trans. But
right, no, it is. Yeah, she's very like masculinized, and she's and like when she goes to the website that you mentioned in the show, where she finds out somebody's leaked passwords, like that's real. And you never see that. You never see that like in actual movies. Like how she actually does hacking in it is like extremely realistic.
Well, and it's like there's a level of stalking that we all do that you just don't see depicted in movies. Like when everybody like enters someone's name in Google, if they're interested in them, but hers goes past the point of, it's like real, like Manson family, like creepy crawl stalking. And that really gave me a chill. And I'm sure like everybody that watches the movie, like, because you always get those emails like your passwords were in a data leak, your passwords were in a date, you know, every day of your life. And it's like that's what's happening. Like this chick is
she's
this chick is finding your passwords.
Well, and she's also one of these prison, you know, that's another thing women use the internet for. They send letters to inmates. And she's like one of these women who sends letters to inmates and becomes obsessed. She's one of the women who like shows up at the trial of one of these serial killers. Like that's kind of who she is, right?
Yeah. And when they get sick of doing that, they don't have to pay for it or have their reputation ruined because women are judged differently. Like they can just say, "Oh, I was in a really like complicated, messed up mental state at that time, and also I've been abused in the past, so that's why I did all this." And okay, off the hook. Imagine if a man did all the things that she does in this movie. People would be calling for the death penalty.
Yeah, Supermax. You'd be in jail. You'd be long in jail. You mentioned in that podcast that you used to edit books that were kind of this female gaze thing. What was that?
I was for 3 years a copy editor of erotic romance ebooks for women. Wow. It was a really fun job. It was basically like a sweatshop for recent English graduates in the Austin area. Kind of everybody went to work there. You got paid very little, but you sat in a room and just very strongly copy and content edited very bad manuscripts that were all like the 50 Shades of Grey books were the exact quality that these books were, but those just happened to take off. It was all a lot of like shapeshifter, werewolf, vampire, menage stuff. I would have to Control F search sex words and give it a heat rate, what was called a heat rating, from spicy to sextreme, and encourage them to put more instances of the words cock, dick, pussy, and cunt. I would also have to make sure that all the characters were of age, because they would always want to do an interview with the vampire thing where it's like she's a 300-year-old vampire trapped in a 12-year-old body.
She's 16. Yeah, right.
They would always want to do that. So I'd have to censor that, and would have to make sure that none of the numerous rape-coded scenes were technically rape. Like they were all women's romances like rape fetish, but the way that they kind of make it okay now is they make it BDSM ritual, where
there's
it's like
consent. There's consenting.
They're consenting. But the message of all of the books was she was a nerdy kind of fat woman who never fit in, and then a millionaire alpha Chad werewolf vampire guy comes in and is uniquely interested in her and wants to punish the skinny girls also. And she's a strong woman, even though she just wants everything paid for. The end. It was all about money, you know.
That's amazing. That is a true origin story if I've ever heard one. You were like AI before AI, trying to put more cunt words in the thing. That's incredible.
And it was it was really funny because like most of the people I worked with were millennial women who were very feminist, who just graduated, and this entirely woman-centric world. Women wrote the manuscripts, women consumed them, company owned by women. There were no men directing anything in this company, and yet it was all their worst nightmares. It was everything anti-feminist, because it's like this dirty secret that's what women's pornography is. It's like all anti-feminist desires, and so they were all really confused because they've been taught in college that the patriarchy and men were creating all of these desires, and it's like, no, when women are in isolation and run their own company and do this kind of stuff, this is what they do.
That's insane. So how long did you work there?
3 years, and then
wow.
I stayed there for a while, and then they realized that they didn't have to pay in-house editors. They could just get the women themselves to basically edit them for free in order to read them for free. So they fired all the remaining editors.
Oh, wow.
A lot of good stories, though.
Yeah. What else? What did they hate you?
No,
Or
it
did
wasn't. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was great to have a lot of time to. I would listen to 3 hours of Rush Limbaugh every day. So this is like the burgeoning, like woke, like red pill moment. I was listening to Rush Limbaugh, editing all of this, and
That's
the
an
building
incredible
was
image.
pink. The building looked like
Wow.
something from the 80s. It was pink. It was totally crazy. Um, the the configurations of the orgies in some of the books, like it would be one woman and like six men, and like they would all be like brothers or something, and you would have to make sure that they're not in the same hole at the same time, because that's incest. But they're if they're in
'Cause
different
that
holes at
goes-
the same time, that's not incest.
Oh my God. That's incredible. So you were doing like legal analysis, basically. You were like
Yeah,
legal, like a legal mind. Oh my
and also
God. That
basically
is
rewriting the
insane.
books myself, because they would be so incoherent. Like,
Wow. Yeah, my version of that is I worked in pharma marketing, which is also all women, and just completely insane. Like they're just driven completely crazy by each other. And yeah, it's like they start to act like men, they try to like they start to try and sexualize the men who work there. Like they would always pit us against each other, and they'd be like, "Hey, stand up and turn around." Like they become the men that they're like thinking they're against in this weird way. And
well,
that's when I was
and
like, yeah,
they can turn on their like female flirtation thing whenever female helplessness persona whenever they want to. They can be the harsh
right.
manager all the time, and then they can also be like, can you lift this thing for me, whenever they want, so they can have it all.
Yeah,
But
no,
that's like the
yeah,
origin story of my podcast. Was like, basically I wanted out of, I had never had a moment in my life where I wasn't ruled by a female manager who was driving me crazy. And the worse that like liberalism got through the 2010s, the worse that Trump derangement got. And eventually with COVID, where it came to like having to wear a mask on your face that says you're a Democrat, I was like, I have to get away from these woman managers, like for my own
yeah.
sanity.
No, same. Wait, so tell me about what was that like with launching the podcast? I mean, was it all? Were you ever anon?
I was at the beginning. Mostly, when I started, my brother did it with me, and then he stopped doing it like 3 years in. But I was anonymous the first like year, and then I started using my face and my first name. And then when he left, I just started using my full name, because I don't like anonymity, and I don't like having a bunch of games that people have to work around, and especially like as I did more like public speaking stuff and more events and stuff, I really disliked the confusion. I disliked being called Jack the Perfume Nationalist also, and it seems that because the Perfume Nationalist was always just the title of the show. It's like an
Right. That's
intentionally
not
humorous
you.
title of the
Yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah,
But people would start to call me the Perfume Nationalist in a certain scornful tone, which I didn't appreciate. But now it seems to have finally, they call me Jack Mason, so that's good.
yeah. Well, when I was titling this podcast, I think I was like conscious. I was like, I think he doesn't want to be called the Perfume Nationalist, like as your
No.
person. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's weird. We all have these like rap names.
Well, it's bad when you're taking what you're doing very seriously and putting a lot of work into it, and you get stuck with a rap name that you
Yeah.
chose years ago. And
Right.
I really disliked it, and I was mostly anonymous for my brother's sake anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do it, but things were much better after I just started using my full name. And I think also that um, there's a cap to what you can do anonymously. Your content doesn't resonate with people if you're playing games. And I know that anonymity is very like enforced and encouraged in right-wing circles. I never liked it, and I think it's counterproductive if you're trying to make a career as some kind of public speaker. You just can't do it with what and have a silly rap name.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's, yeah. So, what do you think is going to happen now with all of that? What's going to happen to the Anon sphere now that we've won? What's going to happen to all of this? These
They'll keep
Anons, and yeah,
insisting that they're right and doing the same thing, while people who use their face and their name take all the hits and actually enact change in culture. So they'll pretend that they like pretending that they are responsible for everything, and they're really not. It's like people like Dasha and Anna who use their faces and names, and that are responsible for real cultural change.
yeah. So, do you think that though there will still be this kind of excitement over the Anon sphere, or where do you think this whole dissident right culture is going to go from here? Because it seems, yeah, where does it go?
It's most anonymous people have this inherently negative black pill kind of energy, and I
Yeah,
mean they already hated Trump when I came on Twitter in like 2019. They all hated Trump because he wasn't anti-Semitic enough. So
right.
they pushed every flash in the pan, other candidate, and then they pretend they're responsible for Trump being elected. It's like, no, normal people are responsible for Trump being elected, not
Yeah.
the jumping around little anon games people. But it seems like there's a real schism occurring between, like, basically leftist black pillar online Catholic homophobe, vehemently anti-porn people who hate everything sexual,
Yeah.
and more broad-minded kind of intellectual. Because I the last thing that Western culture needs right now is less sex. And I think a lot of kind of red-pilled people go towards that prohibition of everything, ban porn, ban masturbation. That's not what we need right now. And that's also
Yeah.
not what MAGA stands for. Okay, MAGA doesn't stand for being some kind of like online Catholic who quit masturbating.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, in my opinion, what is needed in culture. What's needed is a big rush of male sexuality.
I totally agree with that. The only thing is, my only concern is that all the jerking off makes it so that you don't have the necessity to go out and, make that hot-blooded part of it happen.
I mean, I've been nice about the nofap anti-porn stuff for years because I've had to suck up to these people and pretend I'm on the same side for a long time, but I have no patience anymore for it, man. I hate it every week logging on and seeing people's, like, sex punishment takes, and, like, especially like right-wing straight men participating in the latest Me Too rather than rejecting the whole hypothesis.
Oh
They all
yeah, well no, that's
love
terrible.
joining
No,
in on
that's
the
terrible. Yeah,
punishments. And
right.
I think it's really silly and really ridiculous, and it's been going on for so long. And I was like there right when it started. Like, I had a physical copy of that book, Your Brain on Porn, by that guy. Like, I remember right when that started, and I don't think that any positive change will occur based on people stopping masturbating and, making little moral declarations on the internet. And it just, like, is very, like, Philistine to me. Like, it's this very leftist kind of, like, shock at nudity, and because right wingers will say the same kind of thing that leftists do, which is like, nude scenes in movies are actually rape, but they'll do it in this they'll do it in this like, the Jews are doing it. The Jews who invented Hollywood are hypnotizing you with these
Yeah.
pornographic images. It's not the side that I'm on.
Yeah, no, I get you. So how do we bring it about though then? How do we get past this horrible frozen male sexuality thing? Because I agree that's the
You
biggest
tell the
problem.
truth publicly with your face and name. You create
Yeah.
work that resonates with people. You create fiction. You write fiction. You channel your energy into art and media that actually resonates with people. Not some antiquated thing like painting, sculpture, whatever, that's you'll just be stuck in the dusty museum there. Podcasts resonate with people, and they're a low art form. They have this reputation as like a low form right now. Though they became popular because they're kind of like the last free zone, free of the censorship of the legacy media. So that's why people started doing it, but they're viewed with this kind of contempt. I just think that telling the truth publicly everywhere you are is the way to change culture, and coming up with endless excuses for living double lives and not sacrificing anything yourself. You're part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely want credit for having done this all with my face. Like I
They
feel
don't
that
give
I
you credit. They
deserve
pretend
credit.
they did.
No,
It's,
they get mad
they will
about it.
snatch the credit away instantly.
Well, yeah, and I just feel like, look, no, I'm not saying I'm not like anti-anon, really. I think like, look, it's a moment in time. It'll be viewed as, oh, well, that was an interesting moment culturally. But I do think that, like, hey, come on. For those of us who actually, I've been shilling for Trump publicly since 2016. It's like, I think I deserve
2015 for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, well, yes, since that election, I think I deserve some level of credit for doing that, because it's like, hey, that wasn't fucking easy, man. I was doing that in Los Angeles.
Well,
Like,
something I value about my show is that since I've been doing it for so long, and since I value it as a continuing narrative that one should listen to all of everything is documented. All of these various cultural battles are documented, and part of the power of the nothing is that they just memory hole everything, and history gets forgotten, and the way things get done get forgotten. You see them doing that with COVID, where there's this kind of liberal, you'll see the creepy leftists online telling you that actually there were no lockdowns. There were no lockdowns. None of that happened.
like, you didn't have to do that.
You didn't have to do that.
What do you mean? It was your choice. I mean, that was
That's what they do if you don't document everything.
Right. What do you call them? The nothing?
Nothing, like in the Never-Ending Story, it's the black cloud that sweeps through in a racist fantasia.
We got the Borg and we got the nothing, and the liberals call it the blob. The liberals call it the blob. Okay, so yeah, we're looking for names for this thing. So I was actually wondering, in your show, you say this great thing. So you've changed your beginning music. It's this great soap opera music. It's very effective in the beginning of your show. And then you say the continuing story of the Perfume Nationalist, which I found that very compelling, and I was wondering why. But it's like you're saying, like, you want this to be one narrative.
Yeah, and it's because I'm very inspired. I'm sure you picked up. I'm very inspired by and influenced by soap operas, which are kind of a dead genre. And so I've done a lot of episodes on soap operas. I've changed the theme music several times. When it started out, it was the Knots Landing season 9 theme. I just like to mix it up a bit. Currently, it's the Another World theme, but selling it as a continuing story was, to my knowledge, something no one had ever done before I decided to do that. Because when I came on February 2019, all of the podcasts were these dirtbag left things where they act like what they're doing is trash. It's disposable trash that's beneath them. So they're all really like embarrassed about it and have a certain fake tone about it. And I came out and said, no, what I'm doing is good and valuable. And also, all of these episodes are intended as chapters of a story where I'm speaking on certain things. So that was not done before, and people still will go back and listen to early episodes all the time. Like, it's just instilling value in something that I worked very hard on, rather than doing this New York leftist, like, no, it's just trash, everything's just a joke thing. And you'll see a lot more people have kind of approached their work in that way, and not done the New York comedian, what I'm doing is trash attitude.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I get like no listens on those old episodes. I just went back and paywalled everything, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get so many paid subscribers like listening to old stuff. I didn't get jack shit. I got like 2. So I was like, fuck, nobody cares about this old stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, mine is maybe more like newsy and topical or whatever. But all right, man. Well, dude, thank you so much. This was really great. Really, I'm such a fan now. I really am. I'm not trying to be a fanboy here, but I really do like what you're doing. And I think it's, yeah, you're offering a lot. And it's an interesting perspective. And I think, man, these movie reviews, can you like start a blog? Is that asking too much?
I should put them into a book. I should do whatever is necessary to put them into a book. I
Yeah.
need some kind of physical objects to,
To tie them
have
to?
that covered. I want a book, so I'll try to make that happen. But thank you so much. Yeah,
For sure,
you should
man.
come on sometime. So
Oh, I'd love to. Anytime.
Yep, my pleasure.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Peace.